In the quiet corners of life, those subtle spaces where thought lingers just a moment longer, where the mind tries to make sense of ambition, desire, and the fragile architecture of human motives, there exists a truth most people will never discover. It is a truth Machiavelli hinted at centuries ago, and modern psychology continues to confirm with every decade of research that money, by itself, does not alter your destiny unless you have already built the internal strength required to command it. Most people spend their lives chasing money as if it holds the keys to confidence, freedom, or identity. They cling to the fantasy that once money arrives, everything will fall into place. Their relationships, their sense of purpose, their self-worth, even their emotional well-being. But as history and psychology show us, money does not resolve inner fractures. It exposes them. A person who lacks discipline finds that money multiplies their poor decisions. A person who lacks boundaries finds that money attracts people who push those boundaries. A person who has no clarity finds that money scatters their attention even further. Machiavelli observed this long before psychology placed names to these behaviors. He noted that men who gain wealth before they gain self-mastery often fall quickly. They misjudge alliances, they give trust too freely, they indulge in impulse, or they become quietly controlled by others who understand power better than they do. Modern research explains this perfectly. The mind requires internal structure before it can safely handle large external rewards. Without that structure, rewards become destabilizing, distorting perception, weakening judgment, and amplifying emotional chaos. This is why the pursuit of power, understood not as domination but as must come first. Power is the ability to regulate your emotions when others lose theirs. Power is the ability to walk away when most people cling. Power is the ability to observe conflict without absorbing it. Power is the ability to hold long-term vision in a world obsessed with immediacy. Power is the ability to remain whole in environments designed to fracture you. When you develop this internal foundation, money becomes an ally. When you neglect it, money becomes a threat. In this extended guide, we explore 6 deep Machiavellian and psychological principles that reveal why power must precede wealth, and why those who reverse this order unknowingly sabotage themselves long before they see the consequences. Let us begin. Point 1. Money magnifies your internal state. Money does not change you, it magnifies you. It expands the architecture of your inner world, amplifying whatever already exists there. Modern psychology calls this emotional magnification, the phenomenon where increased resources heighten existing patterns of behavior rather than creating new ones. If you are impulsive, money accelerates impulsiveness. Purchases become larger, decisions become quicker, and mistakes become more consequential. If you are insecure, money intensifies insecurity. You begin comparing yourself more, fearing loss more, pleasing others more, and attaching your worth to what you own. If you lack discipline, money doesn't introduce discipline. It multiplies opportunities for disorder. Machiavelli saw this long before behavioral psychology articulated it. He observed that the weak do not become strong with wealth. They become more visibly weak. Their flaws become harder to hide. Their emotional reactions become easier to exploit. Their judgment becomes easier to predict. The human mind, when given sudden power or sudden resources, tends to revert to its dominant psychological habits. This is why lottery winners often lose everything within years, why new entrepreneurs self-destruct after early success, and why people who receive sudden income frequently find themselves more stressed, not less. Without power, meaning emotional regulation, strategic thinking, and self-governance, money overwhelms the psyche. It becomes a mirror reflecting the parts of yourself you have avoided confronting. It intensifies what you are, not what you wish to be. Machiavelli deeply understood this. To him, the unprepared mind is like a weak fortress. The more resources inside it, the more attractive it becomes to invaders, and the easier it is to collapse under pressure. Therefore, your first task is to strengthen your psychological foundation, to master the impulses that try to govern you, to understand the emotions that try to manipulate you, to clean the internal lens through which you see the world. When your inner world is disciplined, structured, and calm, money becomes simply another instrument, one you can direct, shape, and multiply with precision. Without this inner discipline, money behaves like a powerful storm, uncontrollable, unpredictable, and ultimately destructive. Point 2, power creates stability. Money creates pressure. Money carries a weight that most people underestimate. Expectations, obligations, demands, and increased social attention. It can breed fear of loss, fear of judgment, and fear of being taken advantage of. It brings complexity to one's life. Complex relationships, complex decisions, and complex temptations. To someone without internal power, these pressures become overwhelming. Machiavelli wrote extensively about the burden of maintaining a kingdom. He believed ruling was far harder than acquiring, and psychology echoes this. Sustaining success requires emotional resilience, strategic patience, and a mind that does not fracture under stress. Without power, responsibility turns into anxiety. Choices turn into confusion. Social interactions turn into tests. People often assume that wealth creates stability, but the opposite is often true. Wealth creates pressure, and pressure reveals the cracks within a person. Power, however, creates stability. Power is not noise, force, or domination. Power is inner structure, emotional regulation, mental clarity, the ability to hold steady when others panic. Power reduces internal noise, so external pressure cannot break you. A person who develops emotional resilience before acquiring money navigates life more smoothly. They do not overspend to impress others. They do not fear saying no. They do not become addicted to lifestyle inflation. They do not allow others' expectations to dictate their choices. They stand firm. They make decisions from principle, not pressure. They can handle responsibility without dissolving under its weight. Machiavelli knew this. The prince who seeks wealth without first cultivating stability will lose both. But the individual who cultivates power first will transform pressure into possibility. Point 3, power attracts respect. Money attracts opportunists. Respect is drawn to power. Opportunism is drawn to wealth. Machiavelli wrote that people are loyal not to your status or possessions, but to the strength they perceive within you. When someone senses real power, calmness, boundaries, clarity, and consistency, they behave differently. They hesitate before crossing you. They approach with caution. They weigh their words more carefully. But money without power attracts a very different crowd. Takers, manipulators, flatterers, and exploiters. People who study your insecurities, the way an investor studies a market. People who mirror your desires to gain access to your resources. People who appear loyal, but evaporate the moment the benefits disappear. Psychology confirms this with startling consistency. People with low internal power are more likely to attract exploitative personalities. including narcissists, social climbers, and manipulators. Why? Because they are easier to control. Because their desire to be accepted makes them vulnerable. Because they mistake attention for respect. Machiavelli knew that an unpowerful man with wealth becomes a target, a source of opportunity for others rather than a figure of strength. But a powerful man, even with modest means, commands respect simply because his presence communicates self-governance. True power creates psychological gravity. It regulates the behavior of others without effort. It sets a tone. It establishes boundaries without speaking. And it filters people naturally. Opportunists stay away because they sense they cannot manipulate you. Respectful individuals draw nearer because they sense alignment. This is why power must come before wealth, because only power can protect wealth from those who want to drain it. Point 4. Power allows you to control resources, not be controlled by them. Wealth has a curious effect on the human mind. It can quietly reverse the direction of control. People begin believing they own their lifestyle, their possessions, and their social image. Yet, beneath the surface, something deeper happens. Instead of owning their resources, many people become psychologically owned by them. They become dependent on income to feel secure, dependent on validation to feel relevant, dependent on external praise just to feel worthy, dependent on the social image they once built as a symbol of confidence, but now maintain out of fear. Machiavelli understood this subtle, dangerous trap centuries before modern behavioral research confirmed it. He observed that the moment a prince becomes dependent on forces outside himself, whether those forces are allies, wealth, or public approval, his sovereignty dissolves. His decisions become reactions. His confidence becomes conditional. His power becomes borrowed rather than intrinsic. Modern psychology mirrors this truth. Studies show that when a person's motivation becomes tied to external rewards, the brain's internal drive weakens. This is known as reward hijacking, a shift where the mind becomes addicted to outcomes instead of anchored in autonomy. And once this shift happens, wealth becomes less a tool and more a leash. Without power, inner discipline, emotional independence, and self-control, wealth quietly transforms into a cage. A golden one, perhaps, but a cage nonetheless. But power changes everything. Power reverses the dynamic. Power gives you the ability to direct your resources instead of being directed by them. Power means you can walk away from anything that violates your values without hesitation. Power means you can change direction without fear of losing status. Power means you can detach from outcomes others cling to for their identity. This is the essence of internal sovereignty, the ability to remain yourself untouched, regardless of what you own or what you lose. When you acquire power first, resources become flexible. They bend to your strategy instead of bending your spirit. You use money as a tool of leverage, not as an emotional bandage. You invest with clarity rather than indulge from insecurity. You choose your path instead of chasing approval. This is the fundamental difference between a life you consciously direct and a life quietly dictated by invisible dependencies. Power is what ensures you remain the master, never the possession. Point 5. Power builds long-term thinking. Money encourages short-term impulses. Impulsiveness is one of the most ancient psychological traps of human nature, and it becomes significantly amplified whenever a person encounters a sudden abundance. When money arrives before the mind is prepared to hold it, something subtle yet predictable happens. The individual shifts from strategy to stimulation. They begin thinking in short bursts rather than long arcs. Decisions become emotional rather than intentional. The mind, when exposed to unregulated rewards, enters what behavioral psychologists call a hyper-reward state, where the ability to delay gratification weakens and the desire for immediacy strengthens. Machiavelli understood this long before psychology gave it a name. He observed that the person who gains advantage without first developing inner strength is inevitably consumed by that advantage. The opportunity becomes the downfall. The abundance becomes the trap. Without internal power, meaning maturity, discipline, and psychological grounding, money becomes a magnifying glass for every unresolved impulse. The person begins upgrading their lifestyle before upgrading their mindset. They indulge before they stabilize. They react before they calculate. This is why people who rise too quickly often fall with equal speed. Their vision shortens. Their emotional swings intensify. Their decision-making becomes reactive, not strategic. But power, in its deepest and most essential form, stretches the mind across time. Inner power widens your horizon. It teaches you to think in years, not minutes. It slows the internal pace, even when the world around you moves chaotically. Power teaches restraint, the kind of restraint that protects the future instead of feeding the moment. And restraint is not denial. It is direction. It is the ability to say, I am choosing the long road because the long road leads somewhere. When you operate from power, you do not rush into decisions simply because you can. You do not allow temporary emotions to shape permanent outcomes. You do not sacrifice long-term stability for short-term sensation. Wealth without power always shortens vision. Wealth with power always lengthens it. The world recognizes the difference immediately. People instinctively trust the individual who moves slowly, intentionally, strategically, because that pace signals inner stability, not inner chaos. And in a world driven by urgency, the person who moves with calm precision is the one who cannot be manipulated, hurried, or controlled. This is the quiet dominance that true power creates. Point 6. Power protects you from social manipulation. Without power, emotional boundaries, psychological clarity, and self-trust, you become highly susceptible to manipulation. Social pressure lands on you more forcefully. Guilt becomes a convenient weapon in the hands of others. Emotional hooks become increasingly difficult to resist, and once people sense that you lack an internal backbone, they will begin to test your limits, sometimes subtly, sometimes boldly. They will push to see how far your compliance stretches. They will pull to observe how quickly you give in. They will probe to map the edges of your tolerance. They will watch closely to find out what they can extract: your money, your time, your emotional energy, your talents, your opportunities. Machiavelli documented these social games with clinical, almost surgical precision. He understood that the weak are not merely exploited. They are conditioned to accept exploitation as normal. In modern psychology, this pattern is unmistakable. Individuals with weak boundaries unconsciously signal availability to manipulators, making themselves magnets for emotional predators, energy drainers, and opportunists. But when you acquire power, real grounded internal power, the entire dynamic shifts. Power makes manipulation ineffective because it closes all the psychological entry points. Power gives you the ability to say no without anxiety, without guilt, without justification. Power sharpens your inner vision so you can see through flattery, charm, and false kindness. Power strengthens your emotional equilibrium, allowing you to stay calm and measured no matter how much pressure someone tries to impose on you. Power gives you the priceless ability to detach from other people's perceptions, expectations, and judgments, which are often the very tools used to control the unsteady. And most importantly, power teaches others, without you needing to speak a word, that you cannot be handled. This is why power must always come before wealth. Money without power simply makes you a brighter target, a more appealing resource for those who specialize in psychological extraction. Wealth amplifies your vulnerability if your inner structure is weak. But with power, everything changes. Every manipulative tactic collapses on impact because it cannot find a soft spot to latch onto. Guilt no longer works. Pressure no longer lands. Emotional bait no longer pulls. You become unreadable to those who hunt for internal weaknesses. You become unmovable in the face of social games. You become sovereign, calmly, quietly sovereign, in a world that is constantly trying to influence, shape, and absorb you. And now, as we bring this exploration to a close, let this final understanding settle quietly in your mind. The world will always encourage you to chase symbols, money, status, attention, visibility, but the individuals who truly shape their own lives, the ones who move with quiet confidence and unshakable stability, understand that the real work begins within. Inner power is not dramatic, not loud, and not theatrical. It develops in silence, in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the thoughts you allow, and in the behaviors you refuse to repeat. It grows in your capacity to stay calm when others are chaotic, to think clearly when others react impulsively, and to choose long-term direction over short-term emotion. This is the kind of power Machiavelli respected, not aggression, but sovereignty, not dominance, but psychological independence. When you cultivate this inner authority, money loses its ability to control you. It becomes simply another tool, another resource, another extension of your clarity and discipline. And when you delay the pursuit of wealth until after you've built your internal foundation, you move differently in the world. You choose differently. You trust differently. You associate differently. You see through the illusions that once seduced you. You stop being pulled by the noise of external desires, and you begin creating from a place of inner order. This is the path of the self-governed. This is the life of someone who understands power not as something to be displayed, but as something to be lived. So take your time, move deliberately, grow inwardly before you expand outwardly. And when the moment comes to pursue wealth, you will do so from a place of stability, clarity, and strength. Your decisions unclouded, your motives precise, your direction unshakable. Because by then, you will not be chasing money. You will be directing it. You will not be seeking validation. You will be radiating self-trust. You will not be trying to gain control. You will already possess it. And that is the essence of power. That is the architecture of a life built on sovereignty. And that is why power must always, always come before money. If you understood this message clearly, then you are already ahead of most people. Walk with patience, walk with clarity, and walk with power.